welcome back to another Planet Doug behind the scenes production. I'm just heading out for lunch, so I thought I would fire up the GoPro and bring you along with me for all of my lunchtime adventures. I'm starting here inside my current home. This is a hostel near Pasar Seni in Kuala Lumpur, of course. And I currently have my bicycle parked out here. This is my Rocky Mountain Route 66 hybrid bicycle, which has a long, storied history, but that's what I've been using for touring for the last number of years. And I haven't managed to clean it up yet. I just took it out of the storage room, and I was so surprised to find out that the mechanical parts, at least the drive system, is still in relatively good condition. Just needs to be cleaned up and tuned up and oiled, and yeah, the bike seems to be working. I could take it out riding right now, I think, if I didn't mind sitting on a very dusty bike. That really surprises me. And when this whole saga began, my bicycle was up there. That's like a loft, big open space. It's just got a big flat floor, and lots of people were storing things up there. So I had my bicycle and boxes and bags, up there for a long time as I was traveling in and out of Indonesia or in and out of Bangladesh and Myanmar, when I wasn't cycling. But then new management took over this place, and they wanted to create a dedicated storage room. And then when I showed up back in Kuala Lumpur, I was surprised to find that he used this room, which is like a small guest room. I actually used to stay in that room. That was one of my, I stayed in there for a long time in this tiny room. And they just basically converted it into storage. So he opened the door there, and my bike and all my bags and boxes, were inside there. So yeah, that was storage right there. And I'm currently in this room right now, the one with the blue wall, and it's below the loft there. And before I head outside, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about signs, because I've spent a good chunk of my life in living situations like this, like a hostel, where people are living in a shared environment. And then as people's behaviors bother other people, of course, over time, they start putting up signs, telling people how to behave properly. So we've got this sign on my window of my room, with an elephant crossed out. Hello. And a sign, please walk gently, which came about, of course, because they have a hardwood floor here. And a number of the rooms, are just down this hallway, right on this hallway with the hardwood floors. And as people walk back and forth all day, because it's all shared bathrooms, so everyone staying here has to go back to the bathroom and then walk back to their room. And if they walk loudly, like thumping, like an elephant down here, it wakes everybody up and bothers everybody, So they put up this sign. Whether it has any effect or not, I guess we'll need a sociologist to do a study. And my sense is it doesn't really do anything, but it's such a human instinct to put up these signs. But yeah, here's the door to my room, and it's an interesting room. It's quite a large one for this place, and I have this window which opens up into this lobby area, which generally isn't used right now because there's no staff, there's no reception. All the furniture is gone. Like, this used to be a hangout area with sofas, and people would hang out here and talk. And there's kind of furniture here, kind of a hard sofa. People would sit here, travelers, and talk and play the guitar. But none of that is happening now. I mean, this place is almost completely dead. So I've got that window facing the lobby area, and then there's another window here which opens up onto the hallway. So I can open up this window and open up this one and get kind of a cross breeze going, which is nice. And there's no air conditioning in these rooms though, so it gets very, very hot in there. And then I have a fan on the inside. So that's how I'm living these days. And the shared bathroom is down here. I'll show you the journey. So you go down this hallway, and down this hallway, turn here, and then this brings you into some communal areas. This is the kitchen, and again, it's pretty much completely shut down. It used to be a fully functioning kitchen, because you can see there's a fridge over there, hot water dispenser, stove with, you know, gas canister, and there are tons of shelves and lots more tables here, and people would do a lot of cooking in here. But everything is shut down. There's no gas, so you can't cook. The sinks don't have any water in them at the moment, so nobody really cooks here except for instant noodles, you know, with hot water. And then on this side is another outdoor space, and this is mainly always taken over by smokers, which has always been a problem for me. Even back in the days when this was a fully functioning sort of backpackers hangout, this is where all the fun was taking place. This is the outdoor area. As you can see, it's open to the outside world. And they had a lot more furniture here, and this was the social party place, and I could never join anyone because for whatever reason, I think Europeans, I may be generalizing here, but it seems like Europeans and a certain type of long-term backpacker traveler, they are largely smokers. Like everybody staying in these low-budget guest houses, they always seem to be smokers. So this place was just filled with people smoking all the time. And for whatever reason, I'm really sensitive to cigarette smoke. My eyes start burning, my throat burns. It's just, I can't be around. I can be around a little bit of smoke, but like 10 people sitting in a circle here smoking, I can't join them. So I was always excluded from the gatherings. Anyway, there's 2 bathrooms there. Not really working right now. The lights don't work. There's no hot water or anything. But I do use those bathrooms during the daytime because no one else uses them. And then there are 2 more bathrooms here. This one is operational, has hot water, but very, very low water pressure. And this is like a Western sit-down toilet. That's a squat toilet. And for whatever reason, the door there is locked and closed. I think there's something broken in there, so it's not operational. But I didn't intend to give you a tour of the place. What I wanted to talk about, maybe I can turn on a light, maybe that will help, is signs. And you always see the best signs in the kitchen where they talk about cleaning up after yourself. And you always get the classic signs like, you know, your mother doesn't live here, you know, clean up after yourself. And I feel like I've spent a lifetime reading these signs and analyzing them. And I really love this one. So for example, number 1, don't even think of using this fridge if you want to steal. I'm not sure about the logic of that sentence, but I get the sentiment. I can tell you the sign doesn't work. My own personal experience, because I've been using cans of condensed milk as creamer for my coffee. So I bought cans of condensed milk and I've been keeping it in the fridge. And then I bought a brand new can, I put it in the fridge, and I came out here to make my coffee, you know, like a day later, grabbed the can and it was empty. You know, it's like human psychology, right? Everyone who comes in here to make a cup of coffee or a tea, they see this can of condensed milk in the fridge and they think, a little splash of milk. No one's gonna miss that, so they grab the can and they put a little in their coffee. And, you know, 20 people do that, and my can was empty. I hardly got to use any of it, and then the can was empty. That was pretty funny. So anyway, I bought new cans, and what you have to do is put your food inside a plastic bag, tie the plastic bag, stuff it in a corner, and maybe nobody will steal it. You know, you have to bag-proof, you know, theft-proof your food. And this place developed a system to try and combat this habit. You know, food stored in this fridge is for owner's use only. I don't really know what that means. But anyway, here we get into the instructions. Put all your food into a plastic bag and tie it up. Use the provided marker to indicate your name on the bag. If your food is not in a plastic bag and without a name, it will be public. So if you don't label your food, it's free game. You know, anyone can eat it or drink it. And then of course, after 1 week, things will be thrown away, and whoever dirty this fridge must clean up the mess. I'm kind of a connoisseur of those signs, as I said, because I've seen, hundreds of them in my lifetime. and I always read them, and I just sort of think about the human psychology. For example, if there's a kitchen area like this, and there's a sink, and if one person takes their coffee mug and puts it in the sink without cleaning it and putting it away, that like triggers an avalanche of more coffee cups and bowls and plates that all get dumped into the sink. It just takes that first cup to start the sequence. But if no one ever puts in the first cup, the chances are much greater that everyone will clean their cutlery and their plates and put it away. But if one person breaks the rule, it's sort of like out in the street, you see it all the time on the highway. One person throws a bag of garbage out on the side of the road. Next thing you know, there's 30 bags of garbage because someone saw that one bag and thought, all right. And they throw theirs there, like garbage collects garbage, dirty dishes collects dirty dishes. And with the fridge, there's nothing you can do. I mean, there are two types of people in the world. There are those who clean up after themselves. There are those who don't. That's just how it is, and that's life. And you just have to learn to live with it. You know, you basically have to put up with people who don't clean up after themselves. They never will. You can put up 100 signs. They're not going to change their behavior. So I think to be a happy, well-adjusted person like me, you basically have to come to accept that. And accept that when I go to do my dishes, like when I used to live here a longer term and I was cooking all the time, I knew that when I went to do my dishes, I would be doing everybody's dishes because the sink was always full of dirty dishes before I could even start washing my own. And you can be annoyed at that, or you can just do all the dishes. You know, I like clean dishes, I like clean sinks, I like clean places. You just have to do that if you want a clean place. So, yeah. And this place, to be honest, could use a lot of cleaning right now. It's been largely abandoned for the long periods of the pandemic. No cleaning staff. I mean, someone comes in, I know the garbage can is being emptied, and I see a mop that occasionally looks a little bit damp. So, like, some things happen here, but it's not a functioning hotel with a cleaning staff at the moment, or maintenance. Things are pretty rough around the edges. So I imagine by the time I'm done here, I'll have done a lot of cleaning, bathrooms and sinks, and I haven't had time to tackle it yet, but I will eventually. Because the bathroom that I like to use there, nobody else uses it, and it's just filthy. And I like to use it. It has like massive water pressure, like cold water, just like a fire hose. I don't know why it has more water pressure than the hot water one, but it does. So I love using that bathroom. And it actually has a squat toilet, which I actually, in certain situations, prefer. So I always use that bathroom with the squat toilet and the high pressure cold water, but it's filthy right now. I've got to get in there with a bucket, some plastic gloves, and some soap, clean that place up. So that's what's on my mind. To get out of here, I'm going to head out for lunch at Vinijaya, the Indian buffet place that I like to go to. Just a short additional tour, I guess, before I head out the door. Yeah, because I've stayed here multiple times. Like I would go to Indonesia, stay there for a few months, come back to Kuala Lumpur, and each time I would get a different room. So I stayed in this room for a while. All of these, actually, I think I stayed in number 7, yeah, number 6, this one. And then my favorite room was this one. I stayed in here for a while. The one at the very front, room 4. And I liked it for the obvious reason that it had a big window facing out onto the street. So the window to this room is over there somewhere. And I don't absolutely need a window, but in terms of airflow and keeping it cool, that's a big advantage. But there's the view outside from this place. Pasar Seni, that's the Pasar Seni MRT station right there. Anyway, I better hurry up. I don't want to get caught in the lunch rush at Vinijaya. I was trying to get there before the lunch rush, but I may already be too late. We'll see. It's quite an interesting place, by the way, architecturally speaking, because you have these rooms here, and there's the top of the, the ceiling of the rooms, but you can look above it, and above that is all empty space. Look at that. Exposed beams, and you can feel the heat radiating off the tin sheets up there, the sun beating down on the roof. Yeah, so it has an interesting design, this place. And some skylights there, let in some light, which is nice. Just as I was thinking about heading out for lunch and realizing that I'm probably going to go to the Vinny Jaya banana leaf curry house, I realized that I don't have a regular like food court here. Like in Penang, Yummy Cottage was my go-to place. Like, you don't want to think about food, you don't want to have anything unusual, anything special, you just want to go have lunch. I would go to Yummy Cottage. That was just my go-to place. And here, Vinny Jaya is my go-to place, but I wouldn't mind tracking down a food court, and there has to be one around here. I'm right in the middle of Chinatown, and these food court places tend to be Chinese food based. I've got a kopitiam on the corner over there, but it never became my go-to place because the service was sort of like, I couldn't figure it out. I was never that comfortable there. And then there's got to be a serve yourself buffet out there, like a food court in this neighborhood really close by. If anyone knows about one, yeah, please point it out to me. But I haven't really looked for one. Yeah. Though, actually there's one right in this alley, now that I think about it, but it's not that big or anything. So there's this place, Sri Idaman Corner. And yeah, I've eaten there once or twice. I mean, yeah, this might be an option. Yeah, I don't know why it never became a regular mine. I don't think it had this display before, but I could easily eat there, you know. That's nice to know. And it looks like, yeah, this is my place. I've shown it in videos before. I actually came here for lunch on my first day when I arrived in Kuala Lumpur. The friend of mine who picked me up from the airline bus, the two of us came here for lunch. So I've already been here once already, and it looks like my timing is good. There isn't a lunch rush. Oh. It's not working out as I hoped, because this area in the middle, like, is usually filled with dishes, like vegetarian dishes. You can help yourself, but today is a bit unusual. But I think I can put a meal together. Chicken varuval, 1 plate, 9 ringgit, mutton, because these are all the more expensive meat dishes. But oh, they have some veggie stuff over here. I'm looking for a, oh, that looks like a good dish. I like that one. Maybe they just haven't put everything out yet. I'm still looking for like a tofu dish. That's usually my protein. I go for a protein dish that they usually, like a tofu dish, but I don't see one. So the way this works is you come to the rice station and you get rice on a plate, and then you fill up with what you want, bring it to your table, and then they come and total up what you owe. And then when I was here on my arrival, they asked me, do I want Indian rice or another type? And they explained to me that the Indian rice was not as sweet or something. But anyway, here's the rice station. And they have this new system I talked about in my other video where they keep track of your order digitally on a tablet. Because it used to be on like little pieces of paper. But he's over there now. He gives him a number on a plastic sheet, and then that's his table number, kind of, and then he puts his order on the tablet. So we got a big menu up on the wall if you need one. All the drinks and dishes. But I always just come in and serve myself. I'll be getting that for sure. And this one, yeah, maybe I could just put together this with rice and make a meal out of it. All right, I have my rice. There we go. And you can have as much or as little as you want. They scoop it up and then you tell them, okay, that's enough, or you want more, and they charge you accordingly. And I asked him about the two types of rice they had today, and one of them here in the green tub, he called it nasi lemon rice, which, oh yeah, you're gonna see inside, nasi lemon, which is from Malaysia, and then he called this one Malaysian rice. So that's what I got today, was the Malaysian rice. So that's very cool. Now I think I have to put my camera away just for a minute because I need both hands in order to get some food. Lunch adventures are continuing. I got number 76, according to the tablet. And my new guide, DaVinci, he was telling me that they started using the tablet system just 1 month ago. So it's all brand new. And for my lunch, I stuck with all vegetarian dishes because in the past, that's all I had as well. I almost always get the vegetarian selection if it's available. And I remember rice and 3 veggie dishes would come to, thank you, that's great. Yeah, it was always like well below 10 ringgit, like 7 ringgit. If I got a lot of food, maybe go up to 8 ringgit. So I kind of wanted to do a baseline comparison of prices because everything in Malaysia does seem to have gone up significantly in price. And I was curious what a veggie lunch would cost. And I asked him, he came and totaled up what I got. And it came to 11 ringgit for the food. And I also ordered an ice water. I don't know if that is, if they charge for this or not. I'll find out when I go up to pay. So, yeah, I had a funny moment. I don't know what it is with me and ice. I try to order everything ice, and I can't get my meaning across much of the time. So I was trying to order the ice water from the server, and then there was some discussion, some confusion, and he turned to me and says, oh, we don't have Coke. Is Pepsi okay? I don't know how we got from ice water to Coke or Pepsi, but then I says, no, I didn't want, Coke or like ice water. But while I was doing this and trying to order ice water, a woman at another table was doing the exact same thing, and she couldn't get across what she wanted, and she ended up like shouting at the server. It might have even been on the video. No, I wasn't recording at the time. It's like ice water. And, she's Indian, had this Indian accent. I was quite amused. And then a guy went away and he came back with a mug like this one, but with just normal water in it. And she kind of got very exasperated, like, oh, ice water. So we were the two of us were in sync, having the same sort of discussion. But happy, look at that. I find my first 1 or 2 times going to a restaurant, I know this place well, but they don't know me, they don't know my habits. These are all new people. So I come here once, and then after that, there's the ice water dude in the red T-shirt, and we don't have to have the discussion again. You just got to get through the first visit or two. Yeah, this one, I think it's mushrooms. I thought maybe there was some meat in there at first, but no, it's a mushroom dish. It's good, exactly what I wanted. These wouldn't normally be my go-to dishes, like I said. I really love the tofu-based dishes, but none of them were there today. Maybe because it's Saturday, and it's not busy Saturday, I guess. There's no big work crowd, so they have a smaller scale for the dishes they prepare. I've had this before, and it's fine. I like all these things, but it might be a little bit sourish or something. No. Yeah. As you chew, a certain sour flavor. Not sour, yeah. Anyway, it's not my favorite dish, put it that way. And then beans as well. Green, I don't know if they're beans or not actually. It might be something else that's been chopped up into little green pieces. Looking very, very spicy from a distance. I think they're beans. The closer relative of green beans, if they're not. Very squeaky as you eat them, which I've never liked about beans. When I chew on them, they squeak against my teeth, almost like the sound of like a balloon or something. If you squeeze a balloon, it's just like, even as a kid, I couldn't stand that sound. It just gives me the shivers. And that squeaky sound as you eat beans like this is inside my mouth, and I don't like it that much. So this is not going to be my favorite meal of the last couple of days, but it will fill me up. I do like the mushrooms. That's a winner. That's a keeper. And ice water. Are you working? I have to check audio. My microphone is here.
Oh.
Testing, testing, testing. Yeah, it's working. So lunch is done, and I may have misjudged my vegetarian dishes that I chose. I really liked them, so that was a good lunch. But I definitely mistimed coming to the restaurant, because as I've been eating lunch, all the dishes I wanted have been coming out. They just weren't ready yet. So before I leave, I thought I'd show the food area one more time. So here's the vegetarian buffet in the middle. And this is what I always want. This is, the tofu dish. This is really, really delicious. And then you've got like soya meat, like vegetarian chicken. Like, it's not chicken, but it's made from soya, and mutton, like soya style made. It tastes like mutton. So this and this and this and this. These are all the dishes I've been dreaming about since I've been gone. And they weren't here when I came in, but they were busy preparing them. And as you can see, the rest of the food, they've added a lot more dishes since I've been eating lunch. So we've got, look at that, cauliflower, broccoli, many more dishes. So, and they've added more here, and they're going to add all kinds of new dishes there. So, yeah, there you go. And now I have the fun of checking out with my number and settling my bill. So now they have this fancy digital readout, all the items. Warm water, big. I think that was the woman beside me who kept trying to get cold water. Tosai, oh yeah. Hello. Another look, Vinny Jaya. Again, I don't know how to pronounce it. And if you're still hungry when you step outside, right beside it is a classic Ramly burger stall. It's not open today, but it's usually open. You can get a Ramly burger there. And if you come looking for this place, it's so easy to find because that's Passo Arseni MRT, right across the road from Passo Arseni. I'd call that a pretty successful lunch, even though I didn't actually get all the dishes I had been dreaming about. I just have to time things better. I have that thing with timing. I go everywhere at the wrong time, apparently. And going early for lunch today worked against me because the food wasn't ready yet. And I asked my server how long they've been using the tablet system, the digital ordering system. Not ordering, but not ordering, but the digital payment system for keeping track of your order. And he said 1 month. But then I spoke to him again later on, and I asked him how long he'd been working here. And he said 1 month. So maybe we were completely misunderstanding each other. Maybe they've been using it longer than 1 month. And he's from Pakistan, which interested me very much because I very much want to go to Pakistan. Yeah, I can't get rid of the thought, like what to do next, where to go next. Pakistan, the word, the name, the country just keeps going around and around in my head. I keep coming back to it, so it feels like it's, assuming the money can be scraped up for that trip, it feels like an inevitability at this point that it's going to happen. That's pretty exciting. And I asked him when was the best time to go to Pakistan, and he said, right now. So, oh, if you're wondering where I'm taking you, by the way, I just wanted to go across this bridge for some reason. This is the Pasar Seni MRT station, and go across the bridge and maybe end up at the KTM station. The Kuala Lumpur train station is over there, and that place confuses a lot of people because they might book a train ticket online or something, and instead of going to KL Central, they go to the Kuala Lumpur train station, which, you know, their ticket, whatever they bought, doesn't leave from there or start from there, and things can get confusing. But this is the original train station for Kuala Lumpur, and then the main station was moved to KL Central. Yeah, MRT. Someone made a comment saying that there's a new MRT line, and it kind of makes sense that number 11 would be the new line, this blue one, because it's the highest number, right? Yeah, oh, it goes up to 12. Where is number 12? Okay, here's 12. So that could be a new line as well. Look at that one. From Chansolin to Kwasa Damansara. Doesn't mean a whole lot. You have to see that laid out on a physical map of the city. But so maybe 11 and 12 are both new. I'm not sure. Looking over this side of the bridge over the river. Nice view. Masjid Jamak right there, the central mosque. Right there, two rivers meet, and that is the historic, you know, the beginning of Kuala Lumpur was right at that spot where the two rivers come together. And a little bit of a downtown business district with all the banks. Beautiful day today. And looking over this side of the bridge, there's another bridge. Kalana Jaya line, I think that's what that one is. And that is the central mosque right there, the main mosque for Kuala Lumpur, the largest one. I always like to stop and read the signs. Kind of helps me get oriented. So here at Pasar Seni, you have an LRT line, which is the Lalawan Kalanjaya line, Kelana Jaya, and there's a newer MRT line, Sungai Buloh Kajang. As I said, I really don't like the names of their subway stations and how they name their different lines. I mean, that is just way too much. Can we just change that to, I don't know, the green line or something? Keep it nice and simple. And then over here, yeah, there's the KTM Kuala Lumpur station, which used to be the main train station for Kuala Lumpur. The mosque that I mentioned, Masjid Negara. I think Negara means national. So this is the National Mosque. And it looks like there's an Islamic museum here. And then I don't know what that is, Taman Burung KL. But yeah, I'm on the other side now. Just walking this way. And this would be the way, actually ages ago, pre-pandemic, I made this walk exactly, and then I went in that direction, that way. That takes you across the river, brings you to KL Central. It's kind of tricky getting from here to KL Central. You have to know the way to go, otherwise you get blocked by the river and the highways. But that's the way you go. And I went that way ages ago, 3 years ago. I was walking down that road, crossed the river, hopped on an airport bus, flew to Myanmar, and yeah, we all know what happened next. Pandemic came, borders closed, and yeah, I couldn't come back. Yeah, I remember that so clearly. Early in the morning, walking along, hopping on the airport bus. Fateful day. And this bridge here was under construction for a long, long time. It's interesting to see that it is yeah, all complete now. And Merdeka 118, towering above all. And that's the platform for the Kelana Jaya line. Everyone up there waiting for the train. Yesterday, I was talking about the whole panic that was taking place because of the email that I got from YouTube, from AdSense. And the email basically said, without any ceremony, without any explanation, without any build-up or anything, it just said, one of your AdSense accounts was recently canceled. And then it had a few details about how if you had $10 in your account, you're going to get that money eventually, but if you had less than $10, you're not going to see anything. And that was the end of the email, a very cheerful goodbye, you know. And I'm not quite sure how many people got this email. I know I got it, and a lot of other people got it, but it didn't seem to go out to everyone in the world. And yeah, since then I've been chatting with some other people that I know here in town, you know, YouTubers, Expat Pete, Daryl from Wander Eats. They didn't get this email. So why did I get it and they didn't? You know, you always end up thinking you did something wrong. It's like, well, it must be because you screwed up. You know, you did something weird with your AdSense, and if that turned out to be the case, you know, I wouldn't fight the charge. It's you know, very likely that I would do something like that. But then this morning I was looking on YouTube again, and very well-known popular YouTubers like Tyrone Magnus, who has, you know, multiple millions of subscribers, wants to get 10 million subscribers before he's done. The Real Rejects, a popular like reaction channel. Yeah, Tyrone Magnus, he posted a video talking about this. Like, I think 2 weeks ago, he woke up one morning and his entire channel was demonetized. Just flat out, all of his videos were demonetized, and he had no idea what happened. And he had to start sending out, you know, tons of emails all over the place, contacting people. And he's a big enough YouTuber to get a reaction. You know, he can actually contact people at YouTube. And eventually it was sorted out. And then a couple days later, he posted another video saying, yes, monetization is back. So that was something that, you know, was a big dramatic event for him. And then, you know, he got the same email I did. So he told the whole story in this video saying, yeah, I woke up, just got through that whole demonetization for no reason drama. And now there's an email saying your AdSense has been canceled. So he's like, now I got to do this all over again. And he's sending out emails and he's making phone calls and he's contacting people. And he found out the same thing I did, that the email meant nothing. It was just an administrative thing that, you know, YouTube was doing. They were basically separating AdSense into different sections. There was going to be a brand new YouTube, a dedicated AdSense just for YouTube. And they were separating it out from the other parts of AdSense. And as part of the process, they had to close the other side of our AdSense accounts. And that's all that was happening. But I was very amused by the reaction of so many people. Quick stop here because, yeah, another interesting view. And there is the KL Tower. KL Tower and the big white building with a kind of angular top on it. That's the Maybank building. And then, of course, towering over the tower is the Merdeka Tower. Yeah, quite a dramatic view off in that direction too. And then, yeah, looking off in that direction. Kuala Lumpur has an interesting urban landscape with all these buildings, different styles. Especially on a day like this with nice clouds and sun. And we're actually right underneath the postal service building. You know, great big building there too. Quite dramatic. But I was in one of my YouTube channels this morning online, and I went to my YouTube studio, which is like the control center for my YouTube life. And it has like YouTube studio. You go to your dashboard, and way down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a section where they post things you need to know. They call it YouTube known issues. Like if there's a glitch in the system, some sort of an error message, or AdSense earnings are not up to date, or something, the view count of your videos may not be accurate for the next 48 hours because we're doing maintenance on this server, or whatever they feel like they need to communicate, some sort of a technical glitch. They put it in there under known issues. So I was looking at the dashboard, and under YouTube known issues, it said something about AdSense accounts being canceled. So I clicked on that to take me to the post that YouTube made to explain all this. And then I went there, and I just found it funny that they called this a known issue, like it was a glitch that was like totally out of their control. It's like, oh, by the way, we sent out a whole bunch of emails telling everybody their AdSense was canceled, you know? They didn't say, our bad, sorry about that. They just said, yeah, it's a known issue with YouTube that you got this email from us, and here's why. And they explained what I already explained. But underneath this post, people could leave comments, and those amused me no end. I made a copy of some of the comments. I have them here on my phone. Oops, come on phone, there we go. It kind of amused me because it mirrors my own reactions. You know, when I got the email last night, someone wrote, oh my God, this gives me panic attack because I am new to YouTube and still learning and desperately waiting to grow my channel as soon as possible. Another person, I don't know, but it was scary and I was unable to understand why my AdSense payment is canceled. Someone else wrote, so will we still get paid for content creation? This is super scary. And then people got into sort of making suggestions to YouTube how they could have handled this issue in a slightly better way. You know, a little bit of a sarcastic tone creeping in. Someone wrote, might have been a good idea to include that information after that email. Someone else wrote, yes, thank you. I had to change my underwear after that email. A little bit more of a gentle ribbing and sarcasm. Thank you so much for letting us know. I think it might be a good idea to email this answer to all monetized creators, as it's quite worrying and stressing to receive such emails from many who don't understand what is going on. After that, all caps, OMG, don't do that. I was freaking out for the last 2 hours trying to figure this out. Phew. Another one, thank you. I am glad I saw this communication before panicking. And another, thanks for letting us know. In fact, there were a lot of frightened users asking for clarification. So, of course, my favorite one was the person who's like, whew, had to put on new underwear after I got that email. You know, and that's kind of the category I was in. Anyway. At least the hullabaloo surrounding the AdSense apocalypse, the AdSense apocalyptic cancellation is dying down now. You know, everyone's figuring out what happened. I'm sharing this story with you from the glamorous setting of a Kuala Lumpur parking garage, the sorts of places you just end up when you're walking around. And not to beat a dead horse, but this is a good example of what I keep talking about in terms of being a pedestrian in Kuala Lumpur. Say you're walking along, this is what you might run into, and you might want to go over there to, you know, the National Mosque. You're looking at that highway. And Planet Doug, like on Planet Doug, it's perfectly reasonable to just run across there, hop over the median, and then run across to the other side. I would do that, but few other people would be willing to take that kind of risk. So this could be a permanent barrier to many. Oh, look at that, little pink passenger bus over there. Little tour bus, that's new. I don't think I've seen one of those before. But this may not be a good location for me talking about the impassable highways of Kuala Lumpur, because in fact this one is not impassable. It was impassable for a long time, but this is a tunnel. You can go walk down into this tunnel. It goes under the highway and then pops up over there. So you can get across this highway. But for a very long time, this tunnel was closed. You couldn't go into it. So this was a permanent barrier for a long time. I didn't have plans to do this on this walk, but since I'm so close to the National Mosque, the Masjid Nagara, I think I'll just go under the tunnel, go up the other side, and just walk around the outside of the mosque a little bit. Haven't seen it for a long time, and maybe my people watching this video maybe have never seen it before. I'm not going to talk a lot about the mosque or go in and explore it. I can save that for another day, but just a casual look, take a look at it from the outside on this beautiful day. And I get to demonstrate the unique way that you have to follow to get there. So as I said, there is a tunnel, but it takes a while to discover it, because you basically, I remember the first time I did it, you know, I followed this whole path, this whole walkway out of the MRT station. I ended up here, and I ended up in this parking garage. And I thought, well, now where do I go? But what you have to do is find this door right here, exit, Keluar, go through the door, and then you've got this bizarre little set of stairs, and you just have to have faith that they lead somewhere useful. So you go down the stairs, and these gates may or may not be locked or unlocked. You never quite know, I find. And then you come out here. And I remember the first time I did this, everything here was locked, and I just saw this highway. And I just ran across anyway and hopped over the median. And that was the only way I could get anywhere. But then, later on, I discovered that the doors opened and the tunnel was here. So now I can go down into this tunnel and then follow the tunnel underneath the highway and then pop up over there. But yeah, it's a busy road. Let's head down into the tunnel. And this is why the tunnel was closed for so long, I think. It had really fallen into disrepair. And then when it finally opened, it was nicely cleaned up. They even put in these nice photographs. That's part of the grounds of the National Mosque here. And of course you can see Maybank, KL Tower, the post office building. And on the other side, Petronas Towers. Petronas Towers at night. Petronas Towers at whatever, call it dawn or dusk, and Petronas Towers at night, perhaps. Whoever designed the decor for this tunnel really likes the Petronas Towers. I was thinking about my day with Richard, Rich Art Asia. He's, as I said, very knowledgeable about cameras, and he offered to help me out with some of my camera issues. And we went out riding around in his car the other day, going to a bunch of camera places that he knows. He's good friends with everybody. He knows the owner of every shop in Kuala Lumpur, it appears. So Richard is a very helpful guy to know, very useful contact to have. And one thing he helped me out with was kind of with my state of mind, because to be honest, I think this issue has been happening ever since I bought my camera. After a long period of research, I ended up buying years ago a Panasonic G85, and it turned out to be a mistake. Terrible camera, and I believe from the very day I bought it, my G85 was defective. And you know how that, I'm very guilty of this, where something, call to prayer. I'm not sure if I can get into the mosque grounds from here. I'm never quite sure what I can do and what I can't do, because the front of the mosque is over there. Maybe I'll walk around the sidewalk on the outside. I think that's a better way to approach the place. I was just saying that I have the habit of getting a little feeling, like an instinct, a little tickle at the back of your brain or something, that something is wrong, but you don't want to make a fuss, and you just kind of let it go, and you really shouldn't. Because I ordered this G85 from a shop here, and they had to get my G85 delivered from another store because they didn't have one in stock. And then I put down a deposit on this camera, placed my order, and when it came in, I went to the store, and then they pulled it out from under the counter and says, okay, here's your G85. And the box it came in was a bit of a mess, right? It didn't look like it just came from the factory. It had been opened, was kind of bashed around a little bit. It just didn't look like a new G85. And in the back of my mind, I had this feeling, I think you guys are taking advantage of me. This is a returned G85. I think someone bought this and returned it, and now you're reselling it to me as a brand new camera. I think, but of course, not wanting to cause a fuss, I didn't say anything. I paid the balance and took the camera. And I bought it for video. I didn't buy it for taking pictures. But even way back at the beginning, I had this feeling like it wasn't working that well. And in particular, if I did take pictures, the exposure was kind of off. I would set the exposure on the LCD screen, get it to the right exposure, take the picture, but then the picture that was recorded was always a little bit overexposed. It wasn't right. So I developed this habit of adjusting the exposure. So I would look at the LCD screen and I would underexpose the picture, knowing that the final picture would actually be overexposed. So I kind of adjusted mentally in my mind. But over the last, as time passed, the problem got worse and worse and worse until the camera became unusable. And I went looking for answers. So I go on these forums online, you know, G85 clubs, G85 forums on Reddit, any group that knows about this camera. And I would tell them what's going on, and yet what was happening didn't really make any sense at all. So I think a lot of people have had this experience where it's sort of like a blame the victim mentality, where you have a problem with something. Yeah, this is the better way to approach the mosque rather than coming in from the back. And here's the name of the mosque in full. And the central minaret. I'm thinking of something like your car, perhaps. It's making a weird noise, or you try to start it and it won't start, and then you bring it in to the shop, and of course you hand it over to the mechanic, and the problem you are experiencing magically vanishes for the mechanic, right? You couldn't start the car to save your life. You get it towed to his shop or something. The mechanic jumps in, starts right up. And you think you're the crazy one, right? It's like the world is gaslighting you. Your car is making this loud thumping noise and there's a vibration in the transmission. You bring it into the mechanic, he starts up the car, runs smoothly, and there's no problems at all. Like the problems will be intermittent, and then when you try to show it to another person, it runs away, and then you end up looking like a lunatic, and they say, well, it must be your fault, you were doing something wrong. And my problems with the G85 were like that, because what it was doing made no sense. And for a photographer to be complaining about overexposed pictures, everyone kept telling me that I was a dummy and I just don't know how to do proper exposure, and they're teaching me basic photography. And I'm telling them over and over again, no, that's not the problem. When I dig deep for the simple words to get across what I'm experiencing, that I set the exposure, and when I look on the LCD and in the viewfinder, the exposure is perfect. It's exactly how I want the photo to look. And then when I press the shutter button, the picture the camera records is different from what I saw on the LCD. I set the exposure properly, but then the camera records it in a wacky way. And then I'm showing them examples exactly like, this is how it looks on the LCD screen. I take the picture and this is what I get. And it's like a blasted overexposed image, like just pure white or something. Like, see, that's the problem. Say, oh, what you need to do is go into exposure compensation and you dot. I'm like, yeah, I know, I know about it. That's what I did. I used exposure compensation to set the exposure properly. But then the camera does it poorly. It records at a different exposure than the one I set. But no one ever understood what I was saying. And they all just concluded that I was a lunatic and had no idea what I was doing. It's the most frustrating thing. Enter Richard. Oh, another complication is that this only happens outdoors. Like if I take pictures with this camera indoors in low light, the exposure is accurate. It only happens when I combine sky and land when I'm outside. So Richard and I went to a park, and I thought, yes, I can show Richard what I'm talking about, because even he was talking to me like I was the dummy. It's like he's explaining about exposure and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of know all that. But trust me, what this camera is doing is not normal, but it's so hard to explain in words. So we got there, and as we entered the park, I quickly got out my G85 to test it myself, and I was so relieved to see that it was producing the exact problem I was talking about. Because with my luck, being gaslighted by the whole world, my camera would choose that moment to behave correctly, and then Richard would conclude I was nuts. But it was doing what it normally does, the bad thing, and I gave it to Richard, and he started fiddling around with it, and I could see the expression on his face start to change. He's an expert, especially when it comes to technical stuff like exposure and camera settings. He's a master, so he's had Panasonic cameras. He knows all about the menu system and the controls. And he was aiming the camera at a scene, setting the exposure perfectly. He hits the shutter button, and then it's just like, holy crap. Because the picture it took was like totally overexposed, like just blasted everything with white light. And I was like, see? See? That's what I'm talking about. And then Richard is like shaking his head. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. And then he went through like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes of testing, trying all kinds of things. And occasionally he would stumble across something in the menu that he thought was an incorrect setting. He's like, this is what you did wrong. And I'm like, no, because I even went so far as to do full factory resets on the camera. Like just wipe the settings clean, go all the way back to factory defaults so that it couldn't possibly be a setting that I made. And the camera still produced the same results. But Richard would find something and go, oh, okay, this is what it is. And he would change that setting and take a picture, and totally overexposed, And then we talked about it for a while, and finally, Richard turned to me, and says, this is crazy. Like, this makes no sense at all. You're basically the AI program in your computer, in your camera, is malfunctioning because he was setting the exposure correctly. He knows what he's doing. He doubts me, of course, but he doesn't doubt his own skills, and he was doing it right, and yet the pictures were all coming out terribly overexposed. And he says, okay, yeah, your camera's broken. So I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to fall to my knees and sing hallelujahs, you know, because finally I had some support, you know, I had a witness, someone who believed me, believed what I was saying, you know. Just makes me think of all those movies where people are gaslighted by some enemy of theirs and they're trying to convince them that they're insane or they're losing their mind. And then it's such a relief to finally find someone who sees what you see and understands and believes what you're telling them, you know, is true because they see it for themselves. And I finally had that with Richard. That was pretty funny. Of course, it doesn't fix my camera. So who knows what's going to end up happening. It's not worth fixing, like to send it off to Panasonic and have them fix it out of warranty. Nobody wants this camera anymore. It's so outdated. I think who knows what I'm going to end up doing with it. Because the odd thing is, it does work properly with other lenses. It just doesn't work with the 12-60 kit lens that came with the camera. And in a final twist, that 12-60 lens works properly on other camera bodies. So there's nothing wrong with the lens. Technically, there's nothing wrong with the camera, but you put that camera together with that lens and it overexposes every picture. And that makes no sense at all, like no sense. And yet that's what's happening. And I was so glad. I mean, I could kind of sell the camera body separately because it works fine. I could sell the lens separately, it works fine. I just can't sell them together as a unit. Yet I bought it as a unit. And my suspicion is that someone bought this camera, originally found the same problem as I did, returned it saying it was defective. People in the camera store tested it indoors, thought there was nothing wrong with the exposure, just packaged it up and sold it to me. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. That's the history of this camera. And I'll be so happy to get it out of my life. I'm so tired of that camera. It's caused so many problems for me. Anyway, I'm here at the mosque still telling this story. The Masjid Negara, the National Mosque. Yeah, very interesting design. Kind of feels like a 70s sort of design, you know, very angular. And I believe you can go, as a foreigner, you know, you can go in for a tour. You have to put on special, I've never done it. I've known foreigners like me, backpackers, who have done it. You know, of course, you have to take your shoes off and you put on special clothing, and then you can go into the mosque, but I've never taken it that far. And then, yeah, there's a sign right here anyway, temporarily closed for non-Muslim tourists. Huh. That could be just because it's, you know, call to prayers is happening right now. So if you're a tourist and you're Muslim, you can still go in, but me, non-Muslim and tourist, I can't go in right now. And to be honest, that's kind of related to the reasons I tend not to go into mosques. There just seem to be a lot of rules, and I'm just worried. I'm always worried that I'm going to do something wrong or offend somebody, you know, without meaning to, you know, without intending to. So I do tend to stay on the outside. There's another view of the mosque, and has some very nice grounds around the outside here. I think some fountains and different things. So I'll just walk around a little bit. And I don't know much about them, but I've been in and out of quite a few mosques in my life, and you know, they have these areas for like a ritual bath before you go in. You wash your feet, and you can wash your face and hands and become pure before you go into the mosque. So you can see the size of this large area for bathing your feet. It's hard not to point my camera in that direction. Another vantage point of M-Zuiko 118. And over there, KL Tower. So there's some information. Visiting hours for non-Muslims on Fridays, 9 to 3. And then, oh no, 3 to 4 it's open for visitors, and 5:30 to 6:30. That's on Fridays. And then Saturday to Thursday, it's open from 9 till 12, 3 till 4, and 5:30 to 6:30. Welcome to Masjid Nagara. Dear tourists, please register at the tourist counter, post 2. And of course, no shoes, no smoking, no food, no shorts, no revealing clothing for women in particular, and they show samples of the proper way to dress for women and men. And then occasionally you sort of get the idea of all these rules. I don't know if you spotted them in the video. I moved my camera away as they approached, but there was a foreign man and a woman who, you know, they're walking around the mosque, and they might as well be on the beach. You know, he was walking around, you know, shirtless in a pair of shorts, and the woman, not skimpy, but, you know, bare midriff, you know, short shorts, that kind of thing. They just came from the beach. And, you know, even for, you know, it's an odd way to dress when you know you're visiting the National Mosque. You know, I'm a dummy, but even I know better than to walk around the mosque looking like that. A bit disrespectful. So if they get examples like that of how that, you know, that's how foreigners are going to behave, then yeah, they got to have some rules about when we're allowed to go in and when we aren't. You never quite know what shenanigans we foreigners are going to get up to, you know. National Mosque. For some reason, the fountains aren't operational. These have always been working before when I've come here. Yeah, they have a nice series of fountains here, and then a pool of water here, but maybe it's being under maintenance or something. I don't know how long I've been out here babbling and walking around, but there might be one other place to be interesting to visit. I'm sort of right beside it, though it's kind of a major thing to visit in a way. But that's the train station, the original Kuala Lumpur train station. And that's the building, believe it or not. It's a really interesting building. I find it tends to get overlooked by visitors to Kuala Lumpur, partially because it seems to be kind of hidden. Like everyone goes to the train station maybe, or passes through it, but you never quite see the building. It's like from most angles, if you're walking around, I don't know, you just don't notice it. You don't see it for some reason. And then when you suddenly do see it and you see the architecture, it comes as a real surprise. It's like, wow, look at that thing. And there are certain vantage points around the building. Like if you're driving, it suddenly comes into view. And I'm wondering whether I can walk around it and just capture just a couple of those perspectives to get across what kind of what a special building it is. I mean, from here, you know, some of it is coming into view. And, you know, if you showed someone that and asked them what it is, you'd probably, you know, think it was a museum or a university or, you know, some sort of building like that. But yeah, that's the KTM building, train station. Very dramatic. Or like an old Gothic cathedral or something, right? Incredible design. So let's see if I can, I'll go down there and then walk around to the front of it, because I think the front of it is on the other side. And if you do happen to come to the National Mosque, by the way, whether just to walk around the outside, as I did, or time it so that you can go in and see the interior, it's well worth the trouble to continue on up this street. Here's the mosque, and this is the main entrance over here. And this street right in front of the mosque, if you continue up that street and on the left-hand side, a short distance away, is the Islamic National Museum. And that's a really wonderful museum. You can spend a good half a day there. So yeah, I've been there a couple of times. It's a very nice museum, and it's worth checking out. Combined with a trip to see the National Mosque, yeah, that would be a pretty good day. And in this area up on the hill, the planetarium is there, and there's a museum dedicated to the national, I forget the name of the Royal Police Force, sort of the history of the police in, that's a free museum. So yeah, actually there's actually a lot to see and do right in this area. Oh, look at that. Got a bit of the train station combined with Merdeka right up there. I love the look of the stairwells here. From a distance, it almost looks like one of those illusions, you know, the stairways that look like they're all going in the impossibly wrong directions, or some sort of a Harry Potter scene where the stairs move on their own. I don't know, there's something about them that doesn't look quite right. It's like, okay, are those stairs actually connected together properly? And they are. They're just normal stairs, but there's something about the way they look that always makes me think they're doing something weird. You wonder why a train station would have to be quite this fancy, you know what I mean? I mean, look at that. That is amazing. And another tower over here with crazy stairways leading up to the top. Yeah, I don't know anything about the history of this building, like why it was built in this manner, why they thought a train station had to be this elaborate, looking like a coliseum or something. Maybe it started off life as something else and then became a train station. I don't really know. But let's see if I can get around to the front, get a nice view of the whole front. I just noticed this tower, or this sign here, is listing all the things that you can do around this area. Oh, some of the things I was talking about: National Mosque, Islamic Center Complex, and there's the Islamic Arts Museum, I guess that's the official name, National Planetarium, the Police Museum that I mentioned, the Tun Abdul Razak Memorial. The bird park is here. The bird park is very much, oh, that's what that Taman Burung. Ah, that's the bird park. I saw that on the other sign, but I didn't recognize it because I've been to the bird park, the orchid garden, the hibiscus garden, the butterfly park, been there as well, police headquarters, and public services memorial. So all of this is back in this area, and you could just come here to Pasar Seni MRT station, cross the bridge, and you've got all that there. Though, I'll warn you, if you try and take in a number of those things, it could involve a lot of walking, and up and down walking too. It's a big area. It's bigger than you'd think, because I've walked it as a rule, which is what I do, and I felt a little bit defeated from time to time. And now I'm wondering whether everything I said up until this point was a complete lie, because that's the train station over there. I kind of knew something was up. I felt myself talking, and I wasn't quite sure what I was talking about because it looked different from what I remember. And I think that is the actual train station that's sitting, like the train tracks are underneath it. So that's clearly the actual train station building. But I'm fairly certain this is also connected with trains somehow, like it's a KTM building. So what is going on? Let's work our way around to the front. Yeah, this is the perspective of the front that I was talking about. So I guess this is just the head office of the train station. KTM Berhad. So I was half wrong, half right. It's not really the train station where you get a train. That is over there, and obviously that is just as interesting a building as this one is. Look at that. Very dramatic setting. But this seems to be like corporate headquarters for KTM, which is really kind of interesting. Well, as I was hoping, all my questions are about to be answered because, ta-da, sign. Yeah, that's a good word, splendid. This is the Malayan Railway Headquarters building. This splendid building was designed in 1913 by a British architect named Mr. A.B. Hubbock. Construction work began in 1914 and was completed in November 1917 after interruption by the First World War at a cost of $780,422. This building is a fine example of Moorish architecture reflecting the Ottoman and Mughal glory of the 13th and 14th centuries, blended with Gothic and ancient Greek designs of the 14th century. I'd like to think that as I was babbling, some of those words came out of my mouth. Didn't I say things like Gothic? I don't know. Like I said, I'm such a dummy. I thought it was the train station, but I was off by one building. But it is a train station. It is just the headquarters for the entire train system. Continuing, the ground floor is adorned with 97 large frontal Gothic arches and 4 smaller arches. The high and wide verandas skirting the building create a cooling effect and are suitable for the constant high climate temperatures of Malaysia. The first floor has 94 large arched windows of Gothic design and 4 circular arches of smaller size. The second floor has 171 Gothic arches and 4 large and 12 small circular arches. 5 domes sit majestically on top of the building, each surrounded at 4 corners by entwined columns. They are of Orthodox Greek design, typical in the 14th century. Winding up with a big conclusion, this historical building suffered serious damage twice in its lifetime. Firstly, during the Second World War, when its north wing was bombed, and secondly, when the same wing on the second floor was gutted by fire on November 14th, 1968. There you have it. KTM Berhad. Yeah, splendid building, really is. That is a good word. And I'm not going to count all the Gothic arches to make sure that they were accurate. I'll trust them that they got the numbers right. Across the road, my eagle eye has spotted another sign, which I assume gives the history of the train station building itself. To get there, I have to face my nemesis, KL traffic. There's no helpful tunnel here that I'm aware of, so I'm going to take my chances when the traffic dies down and run across. Aha, this looks pretty good. Nothing to it. Nothing to it. Now you just got to switch your perspective, look in the other way. One thing about the train corporate headquarters, I've been here for quite a while, and I don't know if you've seen anyone, but I haven't seen a single person anywhere. I think the whole building is empty. There's no bustling workers going in and out, keeping the trains running. Nobody has gone in or out. Okay. That is a heavy load. All right, here we go. Final story for today. The old Kuala Lumpur railway station, built in 1892, so it predates the building across the road. It was one of the nicest buildings in the city and cost 23,000 Malaysian ringgit, a significant sum in those days. Had a large hall that opened into a small pavilion with a movable roof and a stylish Italian clock mounted on the roof. The building's British architect was Hubback. We know that guy, same guy that designed the Gothic structure across the road. Its design is similar to the Sultan Abdul Samad building, whose British architect was A.C. Norman. The station replaced an earlier one built in 1885. The first station was known as Residence Station because of its proximity to the residence of the British resident. The building is said to possess the largest number of dome towers, with each tower having specific uses and meaning to its builder. The arched entrances are evenly curved, and the interior is uncomplicated, from the arrangement of the tiles on the floors and walls to the chairs that are organized in parallel rows. Large-scale renovations were carried out in 1986, but part of the old structure was retained. The old and damaged domes were replaced, and the glass roof was replaced with a steel structure. I've been here multiple times, of course. I've taken KTM trains all over the place, including, this is where you could come to take the train to go to Batu Caves, for example. But I'm always entering the place kind of on the way to the platforms. I don't generally enter from the ground like this way through normal doors. So I don't really know. Well, it looks simple enough. I thought I would have trouble getting in. But right from where I was, you come into this arched entranceway with a kind of a driveway, I guess you could drive here and drop people off, and then right away there's an entrance into the place. Entrance A, it looks like. And right over there, ticket counter, you can buy your tickets. I just saw one foreigner coming out, two more here. Chances are they're coming back from Batu Caves. You got gate B, gate entry to ETS platform. Gate B is down there somewhere. Yeah. So these trains also come from KL Central. So I would often go down to KL Central even to catch the train to Batu Caves. Because I always like to take a train from its origin station, like get on the train when it's 100% empty, rather than wait until, along the route when it might get filled up. But anyway, so you can take this to Batu Caves. You can take the train from here. Cold drink. I'm definitely getting a drink before I leave. Pretty quiet. Yeah, none of these offices are open. Nothing happening here. And here's the entrance onto the platforms. Well, this is such a great way to end my video journal for today, because I thought I might as well finish it by going out on the platform. I wanted to get some video of what the platform looks like. So I was going to buy a ticket just to go to the next stop, like the cheapest ticket I could get. I wasn't going to go there, but then that ticket, I could use it to go on the platform, and I can exit out the other side by Pasar Seni. Win-win-win situation. But then just as I went to buy the ticket, she told me, well, you have to buy a card, a special one-time fee to buy a special loading card. And then they put money on that card, and then you can use it to go in and out. So I have to buy the card first, but that triggered a lizard brain memory of mine that I already had a card, and I had the foresight to put it in my wallet. It was inside all my storage stuff, right? I was unpacking all my boxes and I found my old KTM card, put it in my wallet, promptly forgot about it. She reminded me of it, and I have 11 ringgit still on my card, and she tells me it's valid for 10 years. It delights me so much. So yeah, I can just beep my way through. I already have a card. It's like a transportation superpower. All right, let's zip this around. Here are the turnstiles. Here's my card. And I put it here. Look at that. Obviously, I got this card before the pandemic, years and years and years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And it's been sitting around in storage ever since that time. And now it has reemerged in my life. Isn't that the greatest thing? So yeah, here we are on the inside. Train tracks, roof, and then oddly enough, it's such an amazing building in terms of the architecture, but when you get inside, you know, all you see is these metal trusses, very modern and grim and industrial, and you don't really get a sense of what the building looks like from the outside. So it often comes as a surprise after you ride on the train, go in and out of the station all the time, and you never realize what a beautiful building it is. Kind of a disservice to the architect. Yeah, I saw that group going into the station just before me. Professional film crew of some kind. Yeah, I'm not sure what story they're telling or what they're filming. But I could go up there, offer them some GoPro services. Yeah, I don't think they need my help. But yeah, here we are. And as I said, I can go out onto the platform and I can walk down the full length of the platform and just exit out that exit, and I'll be right at Pass Arseni. That's how I usually come in. I just walk across the bridge and then enter the KTM system way down at that end, and I have to walk the full length of the platform to come this way. If that makes any sense to you at all. And I guess when I finally get out that side and return to Pass Arseni, that will be the end of this video journal for today. Though I do have one last thought to leave you with, if you want a, you know, everything I'm thinking about, because I'm still listening to podcasts all the time. Oh, oddly enough, someone made a comment on one of my shorts or YouTube videos. I'm posting a lot of different things all of a sudden, so I'm not sure where the comment was now. But they said that unboxing all that stuff at the hostel must have felt like it was Christmas. And I wrote a reply saying, yeah, it really did. All this stuff that I'd totally forgotten that I even owned. And one of those things I mentioned already, it was my iPod Nano. And it already had a whole bunch of music loaded up on it. And I was sitting there at the Indian restaurant having lunch, and I didn't have a book to read. I didn't have anything with me. So I thought, well, oh, and then I remembered I have my Nano now, and it was inside my knapsack. Popped it out, put in some earbuds, and played some of my favorite music over lunch. So that was pretty amazing. I know I could play music on my phone, but I always like dedicated devices. I like to use my phone for this and that kind of thing. And then I like having a little music player, just a tiny little thing that you put music on, and that's all you use it for. Old school, I guess. I kind of like it. So I like having my Nano back. That's very nice. My Kindle is also in those boxes, but I haven't, I'll do that this afternoon. I haven't tracked down the cable to charge it up yet, so I don't know how well it works. So that's one thought on my mind. So I've reached the far end of the platform, There's the train station building itself, but as you can see, the tracks and this part of the building just continue on for quite a long distance. And this is the other entrance. If you come from Pass Arseni, you enter here and then you come down, but then you have to walk all the way over there to get your train, because the train won't stop here. It stops over there where the train station building is. But the escalator is running over here. And the other thought on my mind is I'm still listening to podcasts, and Radiolab in particular. And the one I listened to last that made a big impression on me was called something like The Thymus Myself. The Thymus and Myself, something like that. And it was all about the thymus gland, which I knew nothing about. And everyone, including me, mixes it up with the thyroid. But I guess your thyroid gland is up here, kind of like a butterfly-shaped thing up here. And the thymus is completely different. It's just below it. It's like a strip of flesh, kind of like a strip of ham or a strip of bacon or something, that lies on top of your heart. Totally different from the thyroid. And the purpose of the thymus is to teach your immune system what is you and what is not you. Because your immune system attacks foreign bodies that enter your body, foreign cells that don't belong to you, and the thymus regulates that and teaches T cells in particular to recognize a cell that is part of your body and a cell that isn't, like, bacteria or a virus or something like that. So that is what the thymus does. And the podcast went very in depth as to the role of the thymus, and a new role of the thymus where they're using it to combat rejection of organ transplants, which I thought was really fascinating, because if I get a heart from someone else implanted in my body, my immune system attacks that heart and could reject it because it recognizes it as foreign. But what they're doing now is when they take a heart from a donor, they also take a tiny piece of their thymus, and then they treat it, remove all the active T cells, and they implant that piece of thymus into your body along with the new heart. So the heart and the thymus came from the same body, and somehow the thymus works in tandem with your own thymus, and it actually teaches your immune system that this heart is okay, because they both came from the same body. Yeah, fascinating. You wouldn't think it would work, because the new thymus wouldn't recognize the rest of your body. It would attack the rest of your body while your own body is attacking the new heart. But apparently it doesn't happen that way. And the new thymus and the original thymus, they work together, and they treat the new heart as part of your body. At least that is what they're trying to accomplish. So that was very exciting. Anyway, here I am back at the entrance, past Arseni. KTM train line down there. Whew, no light. Got to turn the camera around and get some light hitting me. And with all that, I'm going back to my guest house, and I'm going to be working on my videos from Penang. This is a behind-the-scenes video. This isn't a real video. This is a behind-the-scenes video. I have to go back and work on the real videos from Penang. And yeah, that's what I'll be doing for the rest of the day. And I'll see you in the next video, whichever video it is that I post next. Hope you're having a good day. I'm having a very good one here in Kuala Lumpur. See you. Well, I have to add a little bit of an addendum here, because this is a new experience for me in the heart of Pass Arseni Station. Look at this creature walking towards me. What kind is it? Macaque? I think they're called macaques, right? And coming up towards me. Seems relatively okay with my presence so far. Hiding on the other side of the pole. Yeah, there he goes. It's okay, buddy. I'm not going to hurt you. And there he goes. I've never seen a macaque here before. Macaque? I'm probably coming up with the wrong name for that type of monkey, but that's what I think it is. You see so many of them at Batu Caves. Wow. And to be honest, I was just thinking about wildlife, because here in the river, particularly when it floods, you see some animals down there that are swimming in the water. I don't know what they are exactly, but a kind of, like a muskrat, or, a beaver. It's obviously not a beaver, but something like that, an animal that lives in the water. And they have homes inside these drainage pipes. They live in there. And then when the water really flows, they all get blasted out. So you see a lot more of them in the water when it's flooding. And I'm just assuming that's because they get flooded out of their homes, during the heavy rains. So I was thinking about looking at the water to see if I could spot any of this wildlife. And then a macaque shows up, trundling along without a care in the world.